I was always profitable. It's just that I never was as profitable as I wanted to be or I thought I could be. Because one thing I always did was control my risk. I did at first violate rules sometimes, and I noticed a few problems with my trading that at the time I did not see it as problems. Like, for example, loss avoidance, I really harp on because I would hide the loss from myself, as you say, you know?
Right.
And I think I use these market neutral strategies or these delta neutral strategies as a way to try to avoid losses.
Okay.
And that was kind of my introduction to trading. At some point, I did start to study more the way you trade and just your thought process. And this helped me immensely. I've made the most money after, making these shifts.
Before we get rolling here, just a reminder to please like and share our videos. Your support helps us to continue to bring you the wonderful content that we share with you each and every week.
I don't necessarily trade strategies now, like known strategies. I'll trade broken wing butterflies mostly. I might do some calendars here and there. I still like the calendars, but definitely I'm more of a BWB guy now. And I'll do like ratio spreads, things like that when I want to be more directional or in verticals. But the one thing that I think has really shifted my trading a lot has been, I would say, two things. One, accepting a losing scenario. Because I think logically I would have accepted it. Like if you would have asked me, oh, of course, here I'll lose. And I'll take losses. If it hit my exit loss trigger, I'll take the loss, that's fine. But I was constantly adjusting the position to try to avoid the loss. And one of the biggest things for me that I learned from you was just accept that there will be a losing scenario. And that's okay. I just need to make sure that it is within my risk parameters and that it's a defined number that I'm comfortable with. And understand that sometimes if I have more money in the position, the loss might exceed, it can happen. It might exceed my exit loss trigger, right? I think you say up to 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I should be, right? So, implementing these things has really helped me. And also the other thing that has really helped me is not try to make everything delta neutral. So I'm actually much more directional now. I've started getting a lot more into technical analysis, which at first I thought it was a lot of crap because this is what I learned from my initial studying of options and stuff and trading. A few years ago, I kind of started to dabble with technical analysis. And this year I've gotten much more heavily into it. I think one of the things that really helped me a lot was the Trading to Win course that you have.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, that was probably been the course that has helped me, I'll say the most out of any trading course I've ever taken.
Yeah, just a thought, right? So would you say like it's more the concepts and risk control and acceptance of risk that's helped you than like any particular trade?
For sure, yes. For me, I'll do like, I have a simple trade that I do. For example, I would do like a 30-day broken wing butterfly on the SPX. Let's say like that would be like my go-to trade, right? But I have like guidelines that, kind of like guidelines that,
right? It's like, I don't go past here, I don't go past here. Anywhere in the middle is okay. So.
Yeah. Nothing very strict. Instead, I just try to see what's going on in the market and I'll adapt accordingly. I am a little bit aggressive in terms of like, on pullbacks. If we're in a bull market and there's a pullback, I'm probably getting more positive delta. I think even to a fault sometimes, because of course, if I get a market turning around, I can be stopped out. But I know how much I'm gonna lose.
It's like that's okay if it's defined, right? And I think people, especially newer traders, they try so hard to hide the losing scenario from themselves and pretend they can't lose that it's just very detrimental to them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's been the biggest thing for me. So definitely more concepts than a particular trade. So one thing that when I was going strategy to strategy, I was trying to find like the perfect strategy, but I realized that what is the perfect strategy? Whatever it is now is not going to be tomorrow because things are going to change, right? So I would caution people to be careful with certain strategies that really hide the loss from you, like super out of the money structures with excessive risk to the downside. For example, I got burned pretty bad doing these where you'll make, let's say you'll make, for example, your average win is like $1,000, but then you take a loss that's like $10,000. It's hard to trade that. Not saying, of course, if you're winning 95% of the time, you could still make money, but are you really gonna trade that? Like, I know I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm done. The moment I take a 10K loss, when my average profit is 1,000, I'm done with that. Like for me, I'm just not
Well,
continuing.
yeah, and it promotes this issue, right? Because you win 95% of the time. So what happens is you tend to be oversized because it's like you don't think about the loss, right? And then you
Hmm.
get hit with this huge loss, and then you're like, oh, I can't trade this size anymore, and you just can't make it back.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also not a huge fan of, let's say, taking 20 losses to then win once, even if it's an outsized win. I think that, again, even though it can be good, it can be profitable. I think that for me, taking that many losses in a row could just be like not very good. So I just kind of try to something in between, for me. Yeah, I would
Absolutely. Yeah,
say.
that's the other extreme, right? So we can do the opposite. But the thing is we want to be somewhere in the middle. Yeah, exactly. Most of us anyway.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. For me, I would say that's been the biggest thing. And so one thing I didn't say, I am trading full time. I do have a dance business as well, which you know about. And
Yeah, so you want to share with that a little bit? So you used trading money to help start your dance business, right?
yes, to help start it and to help keep funding it after it was started. Yes. So I use trading profits. This is how we were paying instructors initially. Also, this is how I was able to fund some of our first festivals. Now the business runs itself and I no longer need to fund it. I know we were talking before how it's like this circle where I was learning from you trading. I was making more money trading. I was funding the business and trading. And then in turn, you were going to our dance events and stuff like this, not knowing that the person funding all this stuff and organizing this was a student of yours.
Some of my students don't realize this, right? So I've always wanted to dance, but I've been like almost afraid to do it. And Jairo's event actually got me really into dancing. I mean, his events were wonderful, by the way. Anybody who wants to try dancing, they should go. Sensual movement, right? I came down to Florida and went to one of his events because I was interested in it, and I just like fell in love with dancing. So I just thought when he told, like, and I never knew who the owner of Sensual Movement was. I never knew that the owner of Sensual Movement, I helped basically learn how to trade, and his trading helped fund the business that got me into
Yeah.
dancing. It's crazy the things that happen when
Yeah.
everybody tries to help people, right? So
Yeah.
uh, I
Yeah.
just thought that was a crazy story that it just blew my mind when he actually came up to me and told me that, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's crazy. And he didn't know I was in the events either, right?
I didn't know at all. It's funny because I saw you. I was talking with a friend of mine, actually. You met her. She was there at BSO.
Yeah,
And then I'm just talking to her and I see you at one of the events. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know this person. I was like, he looks like someone I know. Not that I know, but someone that I know about.
right.
And then I asked her, do you know him? And she was like, yeah, he comes to the classes. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this John? And then this is when I go and I approach John. I'm like, are you John Locke? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh wow, what a small world.
Yeah, it is for sure. And it's just one of those things that, like when you help people do stuff, a lot of times it comes back on you and they help you do stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, crazy story. I was kind of a little bit in shock, like, wow, really? This is crazy, but it's
I
really
was in
cool.
shock
It's really
too.
cool.
Awesome. So, well, thank you for sharing all this. This is awesome. What advice might you give somebody who's maybe having a hard time trading and wanting to make, because you made the conversion, right, from a job you don't like into like a full-time trader and then starting a business that you love too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of things. One, I do have to say I have been lucky because I've had good people around that have supported me every step of the way. But when I did leave my job at first, I thought I was ready to start trading, but I wasn't. I just had a strategy that had been making good money at the time. So I would say if you're thinking about leaving your job to trade, just understand that it's not an easy process. It's going to take a lot. It takes time. It definitely takes time to become competent enough. I did not like the job and I said, look, I want to leave. This is what I want to do. If I crash and burn and fail, that would be a better option for me than staying here for another 20, 30 years, right? But that was for me. Now, I did prepare myself a lot. I was studying a lot. Even though I wasn't ready when I left, it didn't take too much time for me to become, because I already had put in the work, right? So I would say definitely have a consistent record of profitability before leaving a job. I would say a couple of years, not a
Would you
couple of
say,
months.
just a question
Mhm.
though, would you say that record of profitability would be a trade or understanding concepts that allow you to trade better, right? Because there's an important distinction there, because you can have a 2-year run on a trade, right?
Yeah, great question. Understanding concepts, of course. If the record of profitability has been with one strategy, you're not ready. You're just not ready. That was my case. It's more about, do I have a record of profitability trading different market environments, and being able to adapt different strategies depending on the market environment.